We're going to talk about death today. But no, really, if you are a homeowner and you die, is your family protected? We are bringing on an expert today to talk about it. Hey, welcome Keahi. Thanks for coming to our housing market update. So first, tell me a little bit about yourself and who you are.
Sure, yeah. So my name is Nicholas Keahi Ho. I am originally from Hawaii, been in Portland since 2009. Just went to Portland State, got into the workforce up here, and now what I do is I just kind of help people with their just life insurance, you know, helping protect them from death, accident, critical illness, all this, like all the stuff that's not very popular to talk about.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about death. It's hard to talk about.
Yes.
Making plans for afterlife and worst case scenarios.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you're with Quility?
I'm with Quility,
Yeah,
yes.
okay,
Yep,
perfect.
I am with Quility. We're a broker. We work with several dozen different companies, you know, so we can always get the best like rates for anybody.
Cool. And by the way, he's my life insurance broker, so we got it. That's why you're here. But I am, so I'm in the business of homeowners, right? So like, how does life insurance help a homeowner?
Great question. So the way life insurance can like help a homeowner is making sure that if, you know, any of those things that I talked about, right, death by accident, car accident, medical conditions like heart attack, cancer, stroke, anything like that happens to that person that's protected by the policy, there's an immediate like lump sum of money that's distributed to that family, right? If it was a death, that money gets paid out income tax free to the beneficiary. But if it was a living benefit, like a heart attack but they live, that amount goes directly to the policy holder.
So do you have any like stories for me, like that would kind of demonstrate how it could actually help a homeowner?
Absolutely, yeah. So this happened literally last year, right? Where I have a longtime client, you know, I came out to them out in Hillsborough, helped them with their life insurance, and kind of just went along, right? Well, I started getting a call, you know, from his brother, and you know, just hey, you know, some life changes happened. Can you come out and you know talk about this policy? Because most people, when things get tight, they want to cancel and cut out expenses. Most of the time, it's canceling life insurance, and that was the situation, right? So I went out to the house, and I pretty much, long story short, in that span of time, he went through a divorce. He got diagnosed with a brain tumor, and then he lost his job, and now he's coming down to the like last pennies in his bank account, right? And they were considering canceling that life insurance policy. Well, the cool thing is with the policy that we set up for that client, he had life insurance that has what's called living benefits. And so what living benefits are is if you get diagnosed with, you know, like a critical illness, cancer, stroke, major organ failure, something crazy like that, but you don't die, what happens is you are able to file a claim and pull some of that money from his death benefit, right? They were not aware of that.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people aren't.
No. And we made the call. We got everything through. He filed a claim, and he was able to pull out $90,000 from his life insurance policy, which they were considering canceling.
They were just so close to canceling, and then that helped them probably keep his house, I hope, and pay, at least keep it so that they could get it sold or whatever they had to do. But yeah.
They were able to access like 90 grand cash, right, which
Great.
helped a lot. You know, just everybody can benefit from 90,000 in cash, right?
Yes.
And that gave them options.
So I started out in real estate during the Great Recession, and it was really, really hard to see people who would get diagnosed with cancer or have some kind of similar situation like a stroke, heart attack, and they could not sell their house. Like they couldn't pay their mortgage, and they couldn't sell their house for as much as what they owed because the market was going down. Anyhow, that they lost their house because of these things. It has health insurance policies changed over the years because it definitely like wasn't helping people back then, I guess.
Right. Well, just like to my case in point with that specific story with a client, life insurance before 2013, you had to die for that policy to pay out, right? That's traditionally how life insurance is.
Yeah.
Well, you know, just for those reasons, right? People get diagnosed with certain ailments, but they live, and they're forced to have to continue paying their premium because they didn't die, right? But they lost their job, you know, they ran up a bunch of medical bills, and they're juggling, you know, canceling their life insurance. Well, nowadays, life insurance will have living benefits where if you have those critical illness, terminal illness, chronic illness, but you need assistance to live now from a, you know, a trained medical professional, you're able to access money from your policy.
That's great.
Right? Yeah. So a lot of companies, they do that nowadays. So it's a great resource, especially if you already have life insurance. You know, it makes sense to review it and see if you can have those benefits on there already or add them on at a very, very low, cheap rate.
Yeah. It's probably like an extra rider, right?
Correct.
Like, yeah. Okay. So like, are you able to tell me about like how much somebody could expect to pay per month for something, for a policy?
All absolutely. Yeah. So there's a few different factors, right? It comes down to age, comes down to your health, comes down to the amount of coverage that you want, gender, height and weight, all of that stuff. Those are all factors that determine, you know, what availability you have for coverage as well as what the price is going to be, right? And I have clients that on average, you know, some of them pay $20 a month, some of them pay $200. Few random people, they'll pay like $2,000, but it's because they're, you know, in their 80s, they want $1 million of coverage, right? They want a big chunk of money for their life insurance. But on average, you know, I've been in my industry serving clients for about 10 years already this year. So thank you. Thanks. Catching up with you. No. So pretty much off of hundreds of clients, on average for people's life insurance, they'll pay anywhere from $80 to $120 a month.
Okay.
On average.
That's cool. That's helpful. So is there a certain like type of person or situation that will get more benefit to taking this really seriously and having a life insurance policy?
Great question. Yes. So some people that, like, obviously everybody can benefit from having life insurance, right? If you have a dependent, right? If you have a spouse that you guys have an income together or you created a lifestyle together with both of your incomes combined, you need to have some sort of coverage.
Yeah.
Like just straight up, right? But a big one that for people that, you know, need to take it, you know, probably more seriously if they don't have any coverage is, or if they feel they don't have enough, is a family unit that has either one income or one income is significantly higher than everybody else, right? If you have a breadwinner, right? Big scenario would be, hey, you know, one of the spouses is a high performing, you know, executive or professional, makes, you know, $10,000 to $15,000 a month, and the other spouse either, you know, works and only makes $30,000 a year, or they stay home and take care of the kids. It's very important for that family to review what type of life insurance coverage they have on that breadwinning income, because of the reason, like, hey, if anything happens to them and their ability to earn that income, they lose majority of it. Right? So if that's, you know, if anybody that's watching that resonates with you, that would be it would be a great opportunity to, or it would be very important to just review that coverage, see what your options are, so that way you can be educated.
Yeah, I mean, over the years, I've had a few like situations that like still almost bring a tear to my eye of how life insurance has helped a client, whether it was that same situation where the breadwinner died unexpectedly and that life insurance policy allowed them to buy a house for their kids, separate from, you know, this house that had very bad memories where their spouse died in, you know, and then, you know, I've had these amazing stories of the same, like where stay-at-home mom had like 5 kids, husband passed way early, and that life insurance policy made her able to like buy other houses and then basically create generational wealth. And this was like, you know, like 50 years later, she's telling me this story and still has these amazing stories. So it's definitely something that I think a lot of homeowners need to consider, right? And it's not just for like the dead, right? Like, it's for helping people like go through something when, you know, like either they, you know, if they've gone through something really terrible with their health, or they want to, you know, protect their people they love after they die.
Absolutely, yeah.
So last question, because I've gotten this a lot. What do you tell people that say, oh, I've got a policy through my employer, all good?
Sure. Great question. So most people, you know, that you probably thought about this yourself, right? For everybody that's watching, that, oh, I don't need life insurance. I already have that through my work, right? And yeah, that's a great point, right?
Yeah.
Because if you work for a great, company, your employer is really good, they're going to provide some sort of employee group benefit for life insurance,
Okay.
right? And it's very cheap, very, very cheap and inexpensive, or it's free, right? Well, the thing is, and I'm sure everybody has heard of this, right? If it's cheap does not always mean better.
That's true.
Yes, right? And it tends to cost you more in the long run. Because the fact of the matter is, if you have a group plan, hey, that's great as long as you're part of that group. So what we always tell our clients is, hey, if you ever were to leave, your employer, or you retired, or you got laid off, or you had to quit for whatever reason, you lose any benefits that are through your employer, right? Not only the life insurance, right? The medical, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And what a lot of our smart clients want to do is make sure that, hey, they're not putting all their eggs in one basket. They have a small plan that's outside of that. So in the off chance they ever had to change employment or retire out or get laid off, and then they get sick or then they pass away, right? Knock on wood. They have that personal plan that's theirs. They have control over it. They're not going to be left high and dry or leave their family high and dry.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure if you have to leave a job, like the last thing you're thinking about is figuring out a new life insurance policy. You're like trying to find another job. You're, like it goes low priority and then bam, you might need it. So yeah, that's a good point. Well, thank you so much for joining us and for walking through these things with us. Hopefully it was helpful to our people, our homeowners out there. If you have any questions for Keahi, how do they reach you?
Buy a house from Angela first.
That's good.
Yeah, but yeah, if you're partnered with Angela or she's helping you, or Hatch Homes is helping you with getting the home of your dreams, right? I'm one call or text away from you, if you want to review your options. And, if it's outside of that, you want to look at your coverage now, you can ask Angela or you can find me on social media.
We'll put your information right
there you go.
Right
It's a long Hawaiian name, so it's my Instagram handle, so don't worry.
Well, thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks.